They called the cops on me for parking my own boat on my own lake on my own damn property. And I swear if you'd told me that was how my peaceful early retirement was going to start, I would have laughed you off the dock. But there I was, coffee in hand, morning mist still hovering over the water like something out of a postcard, watching 3 sheriff's deputies crunch across my gravel driveway like I just robbed a bank instead of caught a bass. And across the lake, Linda Hartwell, HOA president, pointing at me like she was directing an airstrike. See, 6 months before that little sunrise showdown, I'd sold my cybersecurity company to Microsoft. $47 million. After 15 years of grinding in Silicon Valley fluorescent lights, venture capital sharks sleeping under desks, I'd finally cashed out. My big dream wasn't yachts in Monaco or some penthouse in Manhattan. It was Texas. 50 acres outside Austin. An 8-acre private lake. Oak trees older than the state itself. Quiet. Simple. Mine. The old rancher I bought it from Bill Thompson handed me the keys and said, "Watch out for them pushy neighbors in that subdivision. They think they own the county." I thought he was kidding. He wasn't. The first time I launched my 24-foot bass boat, I felt like I could breathe again. Diesel fumes mixing with pine and lake water. Freedom has a smell, by the way. It smells like that. I'd been out maybe 20 minutes when I saw this woman marching toward my shoreline with a clipboard like she was measuring for a crime scene. Linda Hartwell, 58. Perfectly styled gray hair, lips permanently pursed like she'd just smelled something sour. President of Lakeside Estates HOA, a woman born clutching a rule book. She didn't even say hello. That boat is an eyesore visible from our community and violates aesthetic standards. I remember blinking at her engine idling, thinking, she cannot be serious. "Ma'am," I said, drifting closer, "this is my private lake. On my private land." She turned red. "The HOA covenant clearly states, your HOA doesn't own this water." That was the moment she decided I was the villain in her little suburban opera. Within 48 hours, she'd filed a complaint claiming I was running a commercial watercraft operation. One guy. One fishing rod. Apparently that equals a marina. Then she rallied 12 HOA members to sign a petition. Posted my boat on Nextdoor. Called me an industrial eyesore. The comments lit up like a 4th of July bonfire, half the neighborhood calling me an entitled tech bro, the other half telling her to get a hobby. 3 days later, the county inspector, Tommy Rodriguez, showed up looking exhausted before he even stepped out of his truck. "Where's the commercial operation?" he asked. I pointed at my boat. "That's it." He lowered his voice. "She's filed 47 complaints in 3 years. 47. That's when I realized this wasn't about my boat. This was her strategy. Harass until people give up. She'd picked the wrong guy. I spent nights in the courthouse basement digging through property records. Old maps, deeds, water rights. The kind of boring paperwork nobody reads until it matters. And oh, it mattered. Turns out the Lakeside Estates development had promised residents exclusive lake access. Shiny brochures, families kayaking, smiling kids. Tiny problem. They never secured the water rights. My 1960s ranch deed gave me exclusive rights to the entire lake. Not just my shoreline, all of it. And for 5 years, HOA members had been launching boats from my ramp, swimming off my dock, using my water like it was theirs. Linda had been charging them $2,000 a year in lake access fees. $47,000 total for access they didn't legally have. That metallic taste of frustration in my mouth, it turned into something else. Strategy. I hired Sarah Chen, water rights attorney, sharp as a blade, $3,000 an hour and worth every penny. Within a week, she'd confirmed that the HOA was collecting fees for an amenity they didn't own. "Jake," she said, barely hiding her grin, "this isn't just trespassing. This could be fraud." Meanwhile, Linda escalated. Noise complaints about my 6 a.m. fishing trips. Tried to get my property rezoned as conservation land. Filed false police reports claiming I almost hit children who weren't even in the water. Her husband, Bruce, hovered at the property line with binoculars like some suburban spy thriller. Then one Tuesday morning, she called 911 saying I'd endangered swimmers. There were no swimmers. Deputy Maria Santos watched my security footage empty, liked me casting a line, birds chirping, and then walked across the water to have a conversation with Linda I very much enjoyed watching from a distance. False reports in Texas Class B misdemeanor. Linda didn't learn. She went nuclear. Hired a private investigator to dig dirt on me. Tried to spin my divorce into some character assassination. Claimed I was poisoning the water. Filed environmental complaints. Her husband cut my dock lines at 2 a.m. Cut my dock lines. I had him on camera. That was the moment it stopped being annoying and became personal. But here's the twist that changed everything. Downstream about 2 miles away was Sunset Marina, a little family-owned operation built in 1978 by a guy named Frank Kowalski. I drove down there one afternoon out of curiosity and found Frank staring at foreclosure papers. Cancer had taken his wife. Medical bills took everything else. Bank was about to seize the marina. We got to talking. You know, Frank said pulling out an old yellow document, your ranch holds senior water rights for the whole creek system. Whoever controls upstream flow controls everything downstream. My ranch didn't just control my lake. It controlled the marina. And guess whose HOA had been using that marina launch illegally for years? Yeah. Suddenly, this wasn't just about defending myself. I could buy the marina for $800,000 in foreclosure. It was worth over $2 million operational. I looked at Frank's 67 hands, rough as oak bark, eyes tired but proud. I'll keep you on as manager, I told him. Salary benefits. Your family legacy stays. That man teared up. Linda wanted to play power games. Fine. I bought the board. We closed in 7 days. Formed an LLC. Filed injunctions against trespassing. Prepared harassment lawsuits. Installed more cameras. Got everything airtight. We didn't threaten anyone. We just enforced what was already mine. Linda found out through public records the day before her HOA meeting. I watched on security footage as she screeched into the marina parking lot, snapping photos of the sold sign like it was evidence in a murder trial. Emergency HOA meeting that night. 3 members resigned on the spot. Then Bruce made his final mistake. He shoved me at a hardware store in front of 12 witnesses and security cameras. Video went viral locally. His tough guy routine crumbled real quick. Environmental investigators traced illegal oil dumping to multiple HOA members. Fines stacked up. Bruce got arrested for vandalism. Community service cleaning the very water he'd polluted. The final showdown happened at the county commissioners' meeting. Standing room only. Cameras rolling. Linda in a Save Our Lake t-shirt like she was leading a rebellion. She called me a monopolist, a bully, a destroyer of community values. I plugged in my laptop, displayed my deed water rights back to 1892, played footage of Bruce cutting dock lines, played audio of her false 911 call, showed bank records of $47,000 in illegal access fees. The room got real quiet. Then I did something she didn't expect. I handed the commissioners a $50,000 check to the County Environmental Fund to cover cleanup costs and establish scholarships for local kids studying environmental science. I'm not here to punish anyone, I said. I'm here to protect what's mine and invest in this community. Applause broke out. Linda started shouting about conspiracies until Deputy Santos escorted her out. Unanimous vote in my favor. 6 months later. The marina's thriving. 85% occupancy. Fishing tournaments raising money for veterans. Kids learning to cast lines off docks Frank rebuilt with his grandson. Water quality's the best it's been in 20 years. Linda lost a recall election. Resigned. Paid over $30,000 in legal fees. Bruce pleaded guilty to criminal mischief. Their house quietly went up for sale. Here's what I learned. Money doesn't win battles. Preparation does. Integrity does. And sometimes the loudest people screaming about community are the ones hurting it the most. The sweet part. Standing on my dock last weekend at sunrise. Same spot where deputies once questioned me helping Frank's grandson measure the biggest bass he'd ever caught. That's wealth, not the $47 million. This. Now let me ask you something. When does protecting your rights cross the line into revenge? Is it wrong to use every legal advantage you have when someone tries to bully you? Or is that just standing your ground? I'm curious where you fall on that. If you've dealt with an HOA nightmare or any petty power trip like this, tell me about it. Did you fight back or walk away? And what would you have done if someone tried to control water that wasn't even theirs? Drop your thoughts below. I read every one.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.